Next question that we've got is from an anonymous attendee. Survey fatigue is being shared as a reason by C-suite to not approve staff surveys to collect information or data about anything. Is survey fatigue a real thing? Is this the result of not sharing results or actionable items? Yes. How do we avoid this pitfall? I might give this a punt myself first, if that's okay, just coming from the listening space at this point, and then you can obviously please do add, Chandra, if you do think so. But I absolutely believe survey fatigue is a thing, but it's to do with not acting. If you are listening, and as Sean earlier said, and I think Drew, both of you mentioned, if you're asking questions and you can't act on them, there is no point asking a question at that point in time. You should only be asking for information or feedback where something is actionable or possible for you to review and think about or even consider. A lot of the time, I think we get into a place of fear when we receive results that we can't solve things for our employees. But I think what's really important as leaders is that we have to shift away from feeling that we need to know all the answers, that we are seen to be this God that has everything and all the knowledge within us. It's okay to say we don't know, or no, we can't do that, but we have to tell them that. We have to close the circle and make sure that we communicate that back. That for me quite often reduces any survey fatigue and when it comes to employee listening. But I would also say, in terms of the first point, a lot of people pull out survey fatigue and the C-suite tell you that you've got survey fatigue, but they can't list all the surveys that have gone on. They've got no clue how many there are. They just know that they've heard 2 recently that they've had discussions about. So the starting point is to map all the surveys, all the listening that you're doing at that point in time, and the needs again as to where it's missing, because it's all very well running something like a health and safety survey, but are you understanding the true depths of employee experience and things like that? Sean, Drew, anything to add?
I would say that survey fatigue is a symptom. It's not a disease in and of itself. It's a symptom of bad management of your surveys. And very similar anecdote. We were doing some work with a client who said that they wanted to send out an email, but couldn't send it out because they had way too many other emails, and all of their employees were constantly saying, no, we don't want any more emails. And the problem wasn't that they didn't want this one new email. The problem was they didn't want the 20 something other emails that were getting sent that made no difference to their job, that didn't engage with them, that didn't do anything. And actually that one other email might have been the one that engaged them with reading emails about their work. And it's the same with surveys. Even if they have data to back up that surveys are tired and no one wants a survey, which you'd only gather by asking them in a survey, that data only proves that as a concept they have fatigue, not as a specific, well-formed, well-output, well-designed survey. That might go down 100%. And the other element there is, as Mel, you said, comes back into that negative point. We have to, as communicators, be okay with saying bad things. And we might get a survey where everybody says, hey, we want a pay rise. Hey, we want this. Hey, we want that. We have to be okay, if we're asking that question, to go back and say, you can't have that. And again, that should all tie back into the business goals, the reasons you exist, the operating principles you work within. But the thing is, as soon as you get that negative feedback, the business usually just shuts up. No one talks about anything to anybody. And it falls back into that category of, oh, another survey where they asked us our opinion and nothing happened. So it's not a problem with surveys. The problem is how you're dealing with the outputs of those surveys. And to a certain extent, your channel matrix. Are you aware of all those surveys that are being sent? And how do you keep a handle on them to make sure you're not asking the same question in 5 different surveys throughout a year? So it is about balance, but 100% survey fatigue usually isn't that there are too many surveys. It's usually that people are tired of nothing happening, even though they keep putting in the effort to tell people their opinions.